Hi guys, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of your assignment and maybe to explain a few things before you get started to hopefully cut back on some of the questions you might have or confusion you might have with this assignment. Obviously, this is something that I wish I could be at school in person to do with you, but unfortunately I cannot be at school today. So today we're going to review the EOC Part A, and I was going to have you guys talk about the rhetorical situation, but I think we're just going to focus on EOC A. And so you're going to be looking in particular at how we could connect this to Old Major's speech. So it's a little untraditional in terms of what you would normally see on the EOC, but I think it's still great practice, and we can connect it to something that we're reading in class. So this slide, you're really just going to read over the enduring understandings on the left and the learning targets on the right, and just highlight key terms and make any notes that you want to for yourself. But just kind of make sure you go through and read this and let me know that you read it by using the highlight feature. The first section is the review of EOC Part A. And it's been a while since we've done this, but honestly, we've been practicing these skills throughout the IRR process. Everything in seminar kind of spirals and scaffolds, so this should be familiar to you. The next few slides kind of ask you about the actual directions for Part A, which has 3 questions with it, and you're going to read through the questions and then answer this question here that's in the beige box. Then you're going to quickly review the rubric, kind of explaining the difference between the middle scoring column and the higher scoring column. And just type your response there, and it can be a bulleted list of things. Altogether, I wouldn't spend more than maybe 5-7 minutes on this review part here. Now, the next part, I know that maybe we're not the biggest fans of the College Board videos, but I really do think they're helpful. And I think that it's important that you hear these things from other people besides just me. So the first video you're going to be watching is about the main idea and line of reasoning. So the speaker is going to walk you through kind of what is a main idea, how could you go about finding a main idea, what is the line of reasoning? How should you discuss the author's line of reasoning? So this information is important, and it's something that you're going to use later on in this lesson when you go to respond to Old Major's speech. So you're going to watch the video and then answer the question to the side. Same for the next slide. This one's about evidence. And then I do want to point out that the speaker is discussing a release prompt from seminar, which is about wildfires, which, I mean, it's neither here nor there about whether or not you've read the article. What you're looking at is how he frames things and how we can talk about things. You're also going to be introduced to a new acronym called CRAP. Don't stress about that. He's going to just point out a couple things from CRAP that we don't necessarily see in Raven. So again, you're going to watch the video and then answer the questions off to the side. That might take you quite a bit of time. And so the next part will be revisiting Old Major's speech. And this is honestly, guys, something you might not even get to until Wednesday, which, remember, I'll be out Wednesday as well for a funeral. But I am going to go ahead and go over this whole assignment so that you know what you need to do for both Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is read and annotate Old Major's speech. And sometimes we struggle in seminar with annotations. So I've given you some directions about how you can do that. And then you're just going to take a picture and submit your annotations in this beige box or yellowish box. And so it's really clear about what you need to do as you read Old Major's speech. Hopefully the sub has given you copies of this. If not, they're on my black cart in the front of my room, and they say Old Major's speech on them. The second thing you're going to do is, with a partner, compare your annotations. Now, you're going to have to kind of decide who you want to work with kind of before this so that you can kind of decide when you're ready to work, but you're going to compare, add to your annotations, trying to connect the subclaims together, right? So how are these claims related? How do they build off of each other? And then start thinking about evidence, right? And so what type is it? Does it connect to the subclaim? Is it sufficient? Now remember that this is unconventional. This wouldn't be something you would necessarily typically see on the EOC Part A. However, the skills are important. So you need to talk about Old Major's speech like it is something you would see on the exam, right? So being able to identify what type of evidence does Old Major use, and does that connect to the claims that he's trying to make. The next thing you're going to do is create what's called a tree of reasoning for Old Major speech. And this will help you kind of fully respond to the EOC Part A and kind of thinking about what the speaker said in our previous videos that you just watched about how to respond to the different questions of EOC Part A. So there is a basic concept of what the line of reasoning tree will look like. So at the bottom where there are roots, that's the context. So kind of thinking about what is going on around Old Major's speech, right? What's happening when he gives this speech. We sometimes might call that exigence, right? This immediate reason that sparked him to write this. The trunk then would be those major claims or claim that Old Major is making. Then your branches would be subclaims. And then the leaves off of those branches would be the evidence that you've identified that match up to the different claims that Old Major is making. And then even at the top of the tree, kind of what is his conclusion, what solution does he offer for this particular situation that he's talking about. Off to the side, I've given you an example from a student. This is from an article you haven't read, but I just thought it might be useful for you to see kind of what things look like. So you can do this digitally, or you can actually kind of make a picture if you would like. It's completely up to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be colored. And honestly, if you don't even want to make a tree and you just want to use some sort of visual that shows me how things are connected, that's fine too. I know that we're trying to limit kind of how much material that we use in the classroom. So decide how you want to do that with a partner. The last part of this assignment is something that you're going to do by yourself. And this is kind of an abridged version. You would actually write more than what you're going to do, but I just thought it would be nice to practice. So you're going to basically look at each of the questions from EOC-A. You're going to write the author's main claim in one sentence. So what is Old Major's main claim? What is his argument, his overall thesis? Then you're going to identify and explain two subclaims. So this is where you want to use the graphic you just made, right? So find two subclaims and then explain kind of how they connect, how they're built, where they come in his argument, how they connect to the overall claim, okay? Now, this part you can definitely write in complete sentences if you want, or you can kind of bullet your responses. It's completely up to you. Question 3, normally you would talk about like all of the subclaims typically and how evidence connects to each of those. But using that video where the speaker talks to you about that main kind of sentence you want to start with, the kind of overarching discussion of the evidence, and then picking one subclaim and discussing the evidence that Old Major uses to support that. And remember, just because you're being assigned something in class doesn't mean that the evidence is always going to be effective. And you saw that in the video that the speaker talked to you about the evidence from the wildfire article. So just keep that in mind as you're working through this today. So this is probably going to be a 2-day assignment, which is completely fine. If you do finish, you can work on chapters 4 through 6 and your literature circle sheet. Remember, those are both due on Thursday when we will actually have our second lit circle. If you have questions or need help, please feel free to reach out through Teams. That's probably the easiest way and quickest way to get a hold of me. Have a great day.